I'd like to call the North Augusta City Council study session for August the 11th, 2025 to order. It's good to see everybody here. And we're going to jump right in and turn over to our city administrator, Mr. Jim Clifford.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. We'll be going through the three major items today. First being the agenda review for next week. Next will be department details by all the directors here within the staff. And lastly, we have a few items under the mayor's matters for focus items. First will be a presentation by Margaret Key from the Aiken Center. I'll be providing a mid-year update on the fiscal year 2025 budget as far as how we're executing that. And lastly, I'll be giving an update on the utility billing situation. So with that, we can move right into the agenda review. Mr. Mayor, you'll have two proclamations, I believe, one for Direct Support Professionals Recognition Week in September, and also one for Stormwater Awareness Week, also in September. That'll be there for your action. And then on a sad note, we'll be saying farewell to Captain Charles Williams, who's been a longstanding member of the Public Safety Department, and I have to defer to the chief on how many years exactly. 42 years of service here to the city, but he is currently serving as our fire captain here within the department, and so we'll be seeing him off, but this will be his recognition as his service to the city. And we'll go into our old business, and so we have a reading here for under Planning and Development Ordinance number 2025-12, amending Article 9, signs of the North Augusta Development Code. This is something that we've discussed, or you all have discussed in study session previous, and passed as a first reading. So this will be the second reading of that item. And then we'll have under new business item 8 and for council resolution number 2025-27, the mayor will be appointing members to the Accommodations Tax Advisory Committee to make state accommodations tax expenditure recommendations for council's consideration. So an appointment, and then just as we normally do, I'll be doing administrative reports for utility billing, and then I will also be doing a Hurricane Helene recovery effort update. That may be the last one, depending on the guidance we get from you on the dais. There'll still be some residual FEMA and paperwork actions on the backside, but I think as far as reportable to council, that may be the final one, depending on your guidance at the end of that meeting. So subject to that, I will turn it over to Jamie Paul, our city clerk, for department details.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. First will be finance. However, that report will be covered under the focus items. And next would be human resources, Kayla Ferguson.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. If you look on the back of your department details, you will see our list of open employment opportunities.
Thank you, Kayla.
Next will be Tom with Engineering and Public Works.
Good evening. Today, Streets and Drainage Department began the replacement of the boardwalk on the Riverfront Greenway at Beck Park. That was the topic of some discussion last study session, and so we were glad to get authorized to begin that replacement. And so the boardwalk's going to be replaced with a earth fill and concrete surface, so it'll look just like the rest of the Greenway going forward. So no future replacement necessary. Similarly, the Streets and Drains also resumed repairs to the boardwalk, one of the boardwalks at Brick Pond Park. This is one out near the pavilion. It was started several weeks ago, and they got pulled off for other tasks, but they resumed that work, and so hopefully we'll have those repairs with the assistance of some parks crews. Hopefully get that completed over the next few days.
Tom, real quick, how did that bridge get damaged? The one at Brick Pond Park, was it from the hurricane?
At Brick Pond Park?
Yeah.
No, that's just it's just weathered. It's just.
I just had somebody ask me about it. So
no, it's just water damage. It's just like a deck on your house. You know, the deterioration of the wood in water. Yep.
Yeah, I just couldn't answer the question because I wasn't sure.
Thank you. Next is Tommy with Planning and Development.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We'll have the monthly Planning Commission meeting Wednesday week.
Next is Roy Kibler with Public Services.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Filling in for James Sutton this evening. We'll be covering the north area of I-20 for mosquito spraying this week, and also looked at several trees on city property on Hammond Drive that have been sent to our tree contractor, to Kirby Brothers, to remove. They're hazardous. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Public Safety with Chief Johnson.
Good evening. Wednesday, we will be hosting the Firefighters Association Leadership Institute. They'll be coming down to North Augusta to see how public safety functions, because it's a different concept than what's used across most of the state. So we'll be going over that with them in coordination with Aiken Public Safety. And also the following week, we will have a training session here for all the South Carolina graduates of the FBI National Academy, where everybody can get together and discuss current trends in law enforcement.
That's great.
Thank you.
Good job.
Next is Parks and Recreation, Rick Meyer.
Okay, good evening. The elevator inspection at the Activity Center is Wednesday morning, 9 a.m., so we have our fingers crossed on that one. The Greenway team last week installed the trolley stop banners, and with that installation, we had to start removing Hometown Hero banners, so that'll be a process that we do over the next 2 weeks, getting them all down, all the Hometown Hero banners. Also this week, with the assistance of property maintenance, we've begun mowing the trail overgrowth on the Greenway. So we'll be closing sections each day as we go across. Today, they pretty much got from the municipal center towards the soccer complex. So we're headed all the way out to the end of the Greenway. And finally, fall sports evaluations begin this week. We currently have 1,246 participants registered.
That's a good number.
Good number, yes.
You got a
Yep.
great sports program here.
And the trolley banner really stood out today as I was going down to Augusta. I said, oh my goodness, it looked nice.
Thank you. Next in closing will be Carl with Tourism.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'll just go ahead and continue the trolley conversation here. We're going to start a consistent trolley route from August 21st, which is a Thursday, through December 18th. Trolley is going to run on Fridays from 4 to 10, Saturdays from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m., and third Thursdays from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Trolley is going to consistently run through downtown, covering West and Georgia Avenues, and loop through Riverside Village. And also on Green Jackets game days, they're going to kind of bump out and go to the intersection of Riverside Boulevard and Buena Vista, and kind of pick up some overflow parking over there at that corner for Green Jackets game days. Chamber of Commerce is starting their Good Morning North Augusta breakfast this Thursday at the community center at 7:30. So no, there's a little change there. Traditionally, you've had them here at the Municipal Center in Palmetto Terrace, but they're going to community center for the fall series. This week, Andrew Porio of Tax Credit Marketplace and our own Dr. McCauley will be guest speakers on this Thursday. I also want to make an announcement on Explore North Augusta. Got our fall series of events coming up. Saturday, September 13th, we have Seven Summers, which is a Morgan Wallen tribute band and be amphitheater. We're going to bring back Glow Golf on Friday, September 26th. That was a good success. A lot of folks really wanted that back. So that's on Friday, September 26th. And 2 days later, the Ironman is going to come in September 28th. It's also going to be in the same area. We're going to kind of, hopefully invite some of our folks that are in town for Ironman to come down there and enjoy that Glow Golf experience with us. A lot of them come in, a week early. The Augusta Symphony is going to be here Saturday, October 11th in the amphitheater as well. As y'all know, Jubilee, Jacqueline Jubilee will be downtown North Augusta, October 25th and 26th. And Red Corvette, which is a Prince tribute, will be Saturday, November 15th at the amphitheater as well.
When's that?
Saturday, November 15th.
I love little Prince.
Carl,
Yes, ma'am.
on the trolley runs, is people just show up at the stops and the trolley rides them around? Do you have to notify anybody, or you just It's just a continuous thing, or is
Yes,
it
ma'am. I
something
should explain the
special?
banners a little bit better. So where those
Yeah, the
banners are,
banners look really good.
yeah, the banners. So if you just kind of huddle up underneath the banner, you know, we figured the route's going to take about 16 to 18 minutes to
Oh,
make
okay.
the complete route. So the stops are actually at those banners.
And what is on the route? What will they cover? What area? I know downtown, but
Sure. It's going to loop from Georgia Avenue down. So if we're going, all the stops are going to be on the right side.
Mhm.
So we can start at, say, Sheila's could be
Yeah.
a starting point, down to Cavaliers, down to Bull Boss, and then we're going to take a left on Center Street and kind of loop around. The SRP gate's going to be a stop.
oh, okay.
Then you come back up Center, and Beacons Bluff's going to be a stop. Then we're going to hit west, and then some areas like the area behind Sheila's by First Baptist and that big parking lot, Snowcap, and then kind of get back on Georgia and start to loop all over again.
But they can just do. I mean, it's going to be there
Just
where
come on.
there's no people or 100 people.
It's going to be running between those hours,
Okay.
whether we got 1 or 46
Now,
people.
when you
on.
go by these places like Sheila's, or can they get out and eat anything or not? They stay-
Absolutely. You know, you can get out and eat,
Wow.
and then, you know, probably
They'll
16
come
minutes
back.
later, the trolley's going to come back and
back.
take you to your parking spot type thing. Yes, ma'am.
Sounds so fun, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I've been gone. You know, I'm got to get back in the loop.
We got you back in there. Yes, ma'am.
The trolley loop. Miss you, Pat. Miss you. Miss you.
With that, I'll turn it back over to Mr. Clifford.
Thank you, Jamie. I think we're ready to move on to our focus items. And for a lady that needs no introduction, but please allow me to invite Margaret Key from the Aiken Center up here to the lectern to address the dais and the council. I would tell you that Aiken Center, at least from a staff perspective, is a key partner for the city in dealing with a number of issues here within city limits and also broader within the county. And Aiken's been a staunch advocate for our citizens, and happy to see you here today.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much, Mayor, council members. Let me introduce our newest rock star with Aiken Center, and that's Rebecca Summer.
Hey, Rebecca.
Rebecca is through contract, Aiken County Council's contracted with Aiken Center to really continue to lead the strategic planning and the implementation of our county opioid abatement and remediation program. So we waited long and hard till we found the right person who could be that opioid abatement prevention remediation coordinator, and Rebecca is such a person. So she's a great grant writer, super networker. She's been down in Orangeburg all today watching a presentation, a training from someone called Tall Cop, who is from Austin, Texas, and we're going to bring him here. You can Google Tall Cop. What is it? Call Top Says Stop. We're going to learn all about sort of some hidden aspects of the drug program. Is it March 19th of 2026? He's under contract to come to Aiken County, so we'll hear more about that this fall. We have in front of you, and I'm going to keep me on time, Mayor, like wiggle your ear or something. So you have in front of you a 1.5-page proposal that we would like to put in front of you for a next application to continue drawing down some of the funding that sits there in North Augusta's opioid SCORF, the State Opioid Recovery Fund. You've got about over $400,000 sitting there now. Our proposal this evening for you to consider is a package, a program that would be about $77,000, a very modest amount. Of course, we still are waiting to hear what we in North Augusta City are going to get in terms of the Purdue Pharma, the Sackler money. All this money, of course, is not taxpayer dollars. It's the opioid settlement money from nationwide. And we don't, I was on the phone 2 hours ago with the state SCORF director. We just don't have those numbers yet or the exact time, but I think you might have recently signed a letter of accepting those funds. Those letters have been going out. The proposal here is to turn an application in with you, and Chief Rebecca can help write this, that would allow us to, through a partnership with you, put a recovery coach, a certified peer support specialist on the ground, fully dedicated to North Augusta families. And the Department of Social Services in North Augusta, that office, and the Hartzog Center with mental health have agreed to provide space, to office space. And we would also have that recovery coach, that person living in recovery from an addiction, from substance use, really working in more and more concert with your SCORE-funded outreach team, the CAT team at Public Safety. And the idea here, of course, is to try to continue to work upstream. It's finding families, individuals, mothers, fathers who are having a substance use disorder problem and helping them get the resources they need, telling them about treatment options, and then, of course, connecting to treatment. We're disappointed that we're back to sort of square one and looking for space for us to have a real satellite office on this side of the county. We still have the vision of being with Department of Public Health and Department of Mental Health and Aiken Center over here somewhere. It's just turns out to be harder to find the right property to be able to move into and the state to buy. So the Certified Peer Support Specialist is a lot of great return on investment with those folks who are just amazing people who are giving back through their own journey of recovery experience. There's a lot of reasons that I put a few down here of why to partner with Aiken Center to do this, and we're happy to do it. We currently have a team of 4 peer support specialists, one of whom is full-time in the jail now, and of course seeing, unfortunately, North Augusta citizens who are there, and about 85% of whom part of their story is drugs. So you see the little budget there again. It's pretty straightforward. It's very modest. I don't want to give up on the idea of having that satellite office here, but this is, I think, a next great step.
Margaret, if you don't mind, you've been in front of our council on a regular basis because you drip very well. I mean, it's fantastic. You know how to do what you do. But just because this is live stream, will you maybe just kind of give a little background about where this money's come from in the state, and just that this isn't just like, it's very strict as far as the guidelines, and just update, educate us a little bit about the background, how it happened. I know we gave you some money to write the strategic report. I guess more money's coming in now that we are going to be looking at for you here. So just kind of talk about it.
Absolutely. Again, cut me off. I could go all day. So yes, we had, of course, with the pandemic, we had within the pandemic, it was 5 years ago, 6 years ago, we had the opioid crisis, and it went way back before then. North Augusta, Aiken County, we were not spared. 2 years ago, we were losing to accidental overdoses of drugs and death 2 people per week. I just was looking at coroner's numbers today. We're now in Aiken County and in North Augusta, actually, about 1 person per week overall across a year is dying of confirmed accidental. To fall very strictly. We don't want to do what we did years ago with the tobacco settlement, where some people said only 3% of the money was actually ultimately used to have nicotine addiction addressed. So we're doing much better job. And yes, so it's nationwide. It's not taxpayer dollars. It's all settlement money. We have to, even though you have designated money in an account, it's got to be an approved strategy and an approved proposal. And they are more and more at that board.
Be in one of those 2, or will somebody be there and the other one there? And how do these people, how do we know how to find them? I mean, that, to me, that's the hard part. Not many are going to admit that. So let's say you did, then we'd hook them up with one of these, and they follow that person till they better, or how do they do it?
You know, that great questions. My thought, again, trying to keep this proposal modest, was that we would have 1 certified peer support specialist, and he or she would spend sort of maybe mornings in the DSS office and afternoons in the mental health office. Unfortunately, again, many people with suspected child abuse and neglect charges and so forth, drugs are involved.
Yeah.
And then with mental health, you have many people, it's called co-occurring. You've got a mental health problem, a challenge, and you might try to self-medicate with drugs, you know. And so those are places where there already are the clients, the citizens waiting to learn about us and for us to bridge and let them know about us and engage them. So those are just 2 really important places for us to work where we know there are potential citizens we could help. And then, of course, outreach into neighborhoods that are high distress neighborhoods and so forth, and other things.
But once you get that person,
Yes.
and like, how often would they come to the facilities? Or
Well, that's the next step. Of course, if we have a satellite, we would hope to have a clinical counselor, a master's level addictions counselor, but we work out transportation, we work out telehealth, we work out counseling. So many need counseling. We also have medication-assisted treatment when it comes to opioids. There's all kind of pathways from there. Some people may need to go inpatient for 30 days. You never know, right? So it's every individual treatment plan, but hopefully catching the disease of substance use earlier in that progressive process. And there's where we need to head. So, did I answer your question?
yeah, that's
Okay.
great. I was just concerned on, once you get them, how we hold them.
Well, and these recovery coaches are a big part of that motivation and belief and hope that recovery is possible. It starts there.
Ms. Key, what is the success rate that you guys have seen with using the recovery coaches and people actually making it through the whole process?
There's nationwide data about that is considered now a best practice or evidence-based practice to have a recovery coach or peer support specialist as part of an overall team, including counselors and treatment people. I have so many anecdotes locally, particularly coming out of the jail. I can't give you numbers yet, but I know we have a medical doctor, Dr. Dees, who's here in North Augusta. He was saying, if you think about it like diabetes or cancer, or that if you think about recovery rates that initially may seem kind of low compared to what you want them to be, but it's and you catch it at stages like cancer. So it really depends on how deep the disease process is. But I'm so optimistic based on the anecdotes I'm hearing, and I love the idea that we're going to get more and more local data in addition to national research. Yes, but great question.
Margaret, I would just tell you that thank you for coming. We will definitely, it won't be happening next week, of course, but I would see the administration and Chief Johnson, putting something together for us, a resolution in the near future once they kind of work things out. Y'all talk more and all that, but I would be shocked if you don't see pretty much real strong support from us. So I would say, speaking for council, this is something we definitely would be very interested in, and we'll let Jim and Chief kind of talk you through the details of the application and all that piece of it.
Perfect. I think October 17th is our deadline for Columbia, so we're good to go starting this early.
We're not the fastest, but we can make that day.
Thank you so much.
All right, Margaret, thank you.
Go ahead and queue up the fiscal year 25. Thank you. And so for the new council members, this has been a recent practice by administration to provide kind of a mid-year update. I gave this in August of last year, and really it's designed to kind of get you thinking about the next fiscal year budget as we go into fiscal year 26 planning. But this shows you where we are for fiscal year 25. And again, for the folks that are watching today, the base budget is largely spent based on salaries and basic O&M, and there aren't a lot of large projects associated with the general fund budget, but there are some things in there, whether it's smaller equipment or personnel adds. So I really wanted to just show you and our citizens the status of those changes year over year from the 24 to the 25 budget and the status of those projects and initiatives. So let's go ahead and go to the next slide. And so this is to give you an update on the FY25 budget and also where we are on some ARPA major projects. So this is a direct lift from the slide that I gave to the council last year in the budget, which is, and these are some of the things that drive some of our major changes in costs. So one is we had a 10.5% increase in PIBA insurance costs, which went across all governments in South Carolina, not something that was forecasted. Ideally, from a state agency or insurance provider, you'd like to see something more in line with consumer price index changes. So eating a 10.5% insurance cost for our personnel is not a minor budget driver. We also did a 3% cost of living adjustment for all city employees. We have an outside group, the Archer study, came in and recommended between 4 and 4.25 or 4.4, but we thought 3% was attainable on the budget that we had. And then we also added 3 full-time equivalents to our city staff. And then the other budget driver has been our continued move from lease purchase to outright purchase of city vehicles. And just a few weeks ago had the city audit folks came in, Malden and Jenkins, and that was one of the slides they showed, was showing how our if we continue on glide path, how we're going to get off of the interest payments for lease purchase within 2 years, which has been a goal of mine for several years now. And again, that's a good thing to do when interest rates are 2% or lower. But as interest rates have significantly climbed beyond that, we certainly don't want to be spending general fund dollars on interest payments if we can avoid it at all costs. So next slide. So we added a few positions, some of which are resident within the base budget and some of which are grant funded. So I'll go through those. One is we felt, based on input we got from our city attorney, Kelly Zier, that we really needed to separate the courts and records personnel. It doesn't make sense to have the courts falling under public safety, which essentially represents the prosecution of a case. And so courts need to be separate and independent. So we stripped out, and we had some economies of scale there and efficiencies associated with the courts and records being together where everybody can work on the same kinds of things, but we really needed to put a hard line in there to separate courts and records. So what we did is courts got moved out, and that is now under the Assistant City Administrator's portfolio, J.D. McCauley, whereas public safety is under my portfolio with Chief. And so in order to make those runs, we needed to add a records supervisor for the records portion within the public safety department, and that person was hired early in this calendar year and is currently on duty. We also had to absorb the cost of a public safety officer from the DUI grant. So the way most state and federal grants work for public safety is that they will absorb the cost for the first X number of years, but then when you sign up for this grant, you're basically saying to the grant agency that you're going to maintain that position after the grant is done. That's part of the deal of signing up for getting free salary for 3 years or whatever it works out to be. And so Doug Rubin, who is our DUI grant officer, his DUI grant ended. And so to matriculate him to be a member of the department in a way that we're paying from out of the general fund, we had to absorb that cost this year. That was one of the 3 FTEs we talked about in the previous slide. And last but not least, we added a Greenway coordinator for our crown jewel of tourism, which is the Greenway here in North Augusta. So we've got a 3-person crew now that's dedicated towards the Greenway with ancillary duties in the amphitheater. I think you've seen some good benefit of having that size density. I know the mayor and I have had numerous conversations when we first came into office, a little over 4 years ago, about the focus on the Greenway and some of the maintenance that's required there. So we've made some good headway based on that. So those are the first 3 positions there that are affecting the base, FY25 budget in the general fund. And then we have other ones that we wanted to show. One was that we, through the council permission, added 2 grant public safety officers. We're not going to absorb their costs this year, but we will in future years. And one is a DUI grant, so a continuation, if you will, of the previous DUI grant, and then also a traffic safety grant. So we've added 2 officers at low cost to the city, but we'll absorb those PSOs, their salaries in a later year. And then we also added an SRO for North Augusta High School, which is also funded by a grant. And I don't anticipate, at least at this time, that that's going to matriculate into the general fund because the state's been funding SROs, at least for the time being. And then we also restructured internal to finance for one of our clerks to be a procurement specialist. And we're starting to see some benefit of that already. So we hired a government employee out of Columbia County, Georgia, to come over and be our government procurement specialist. And she's already been doing a lot of great work to centralize some of our contracts and give us some better visibility of how we're going out there and spending government dollars. So some of the other projects, and this is kind of a Tom Zezer and James Sutton kind of world. The city had set aside some money in the capital projects fund, not the general fund budget, for maintenance on the city hall or municipal building. And so just under $1,000 has already been spent for pressure washing and painting some of the exterior retaining walls. And then we also have pressure washing and window cleaning that's scheduled later in the year that Tom's got the lead on. And then also we bought a right-of-way tractor for the property maintenance folks here in public services out of the capital projects fund. Next slide. Under public safety, I've got the top items ambered up. So the department from Chief Thomas to now Chief Johnson has advocated long and hard for movement off of the 45 caliber Glock to a 9mm Glock chassis. It makes for a pretty easy transition as far as from a training perspective. So those sidearms have been procured, but there's still a full training package that we do with all the officers to make sure before we put them out on the street. And that's not one of those things where you do it just kind of onesies and twosies. You got to do a whole fleet changeover for tactical reasons. And so that should be happening here in the next 60 days, and we'll have that done. So that's ambered until we actually have a on-the-ground capability. And not that this was a budget item per se, but I did want to highlight there have been some challenges with getting Chevy Tahoe police vehicles. So it's just the supply chain is tough to get them. I talked to a GM representative when I went to the City County Manager Association conference in Pittsburgh last year, right before the hurricane, and really spent a fair amount of time talking about their challenges as far as being able to get Tahoes off the line, but that the Chevy Silverado four-door truck was a viable replacement option. A lot of departments have been using those. So we're doing this as a trial run. We got 3 of those pickup trucks that are in fleet, 2 of them in service already. The third one is getting striped and put into service here shortly. So we'll do this and see how this works out. But the initial feedback is, I'll defer to Chief, but it sounded like it was going pretty well and wasn't a degradation of services. And last but not least, under public safety, not that this was an FY25 budget item, but it happened in FY25 through a council action. If you recall, the council had approved using capital project sales tax 5 to order 3 new apparatus, 2 ladder trucks, 1 engine, and then also using capital projects fund to buy a bridge plan ladder truck because the 1981 ladder truck we had just really wasn't serviceable anymore. And so what you see there is in bay at Fire Station 3, which was procured from the local fire volunteer fire department. All that remains is we've got to just restripe it as North Augusta. We're out for bid on that right now, but that vehicle is functional and able to respond to calls out of Station 3. So under Parks and Rec, 2 major projects. Rick already talked about the elevator, which hopefully will be coming to an end soon. And then also just really like this picture here of the tennis court resurfacing. We had a number of citizens come and talk to us about wanting to make that investment there at Riverview Park and the tennis facilities. And so there you can see exactly the handiwork that was done by our contractor who did a good job. And again, so we got good citizen input on that, and we were able to turn that project, and that was completed in the spring. Next slide. No, I don't have any cool tourism photos, but I'll try to do a better job next time. What we see here is we split a number of our purchases for tourism between the capital projects fund and the Riverfront Central Core, not necessarily the base budget. And so the vast majority of those projects or procurements have already occurred. Carl's been making sure that we've had good pricing and contracts for the flooring replacement, the painting, and then lighting. All of those projects are now done. That's one of the reasons why you see that the Chamber of Commerce wanted to move the breakfast over to the community center, not just because that's where their office is, but because the facility is a little more on the up and up and looks like a place you can hold a nice business banquet or event. And then lastly, they had requested some additional vehicles, 15-passenger van, a light pickup truck. Light pickup truck allows them to move the mobile stage around. You have to have something that's got a towing capacity, and then the 15-passenger van is for a number of other kinds of things. The City Council, you all just recently allowed the Sertoma Club to take a donation of the old bus, so we'll work through the mechanics of that. And really all tourism is working on right now is trying to procure the enclosed trailer, and they're working through pricing on that. Next slide. So under downtown quality of life, there's $25,000 wedge in the general fund budget. And so the vast majority of that this year went to the hanging flower basket, maintenance and watering contracts. And then also there was a maintenance contract for the downtown lighting. So not just the lighting, but the actual lights themselves, electrical, all the things that go along with that. So we may end up looking at our downtown lines to see where we can get some better pricing and or where we can bubble up some of that funding. So under unforecast requirements, this is really my opportunity to show you And these are things that were not necessarily in the budget, but that we had to deal with a curveball. Usually those fall in the Public Works or Public Services Department, but ultimately, in our case, it's really been Hurricane Helene. And so I'm just kind of giving you a quick status update on a few things here. So again, from a citizen perspective, aside from a few stumps, I mean, the debris collection removal is 100% complete. I think that went reasonably well. We also were able to do a fix to the Fire Station 2 roof that had gotten peeled up. And so you can see there's actually a different color series of panels or roofing there above the apparatus bay where they did the repair. If you recall, in Capital Project Sales Tax 5, we have money set aside for re-engineering and new roof at Fire Station 2, but this at least keeps the water off the trucks and makes the bays watertight for now. We are almost done with the stormwater detention pond and lift station fencing project. Tom Zeser informed me we only had one more section of fencing to go. Stormwater detention pond cleaning was completed. James Sutton and his team continue to kind of chip away at the utility rights of way. We have access to all the major points, but just to improve the foxhole and make sure those are better cleared, we'll continue to do. And then again, kudos to Tom Zeser and the Public Works for really working on the NRSC grant, which is under $1 million. And so and it's broken into smaller subcomponents of that grant. One of them was very visible here nearby, but all the sediment that kind of went into the River Club pond through some of the various city properties, that was dredged and removed for just over $60,000. And the next major project we're working on is the Willowick Creek by the formerly known as Willowick Apartments by Exit 1. And if you drive into the parking lot of Willowick, you can see where the creek actually moved and is now impacting the parking lot as far as the stability of the soil. And so there's an engineering aspect first, and then they'll have the remediation that will occur on the backside. And then, we try to look for a silver lining, and we're actually able to use, based on some of the damage to Creighton Park, we'll be able to be reimbursed for some of that through FEMA because it was a working park. And so we're able to fast track action to get Creighton Park reopened with all new equipment this past spring, and I thought that was a good news story, so we'll take it where we can get it. Next slide. These are some of the projects and equipment additions we have. I won't read them to you all, but these are all things that were listed in the various budgets, and the vast majority of those are in at the very bottom. You can see the 8 public safety vehicles. We actually have those vehicles on hand. It's a matter of getting them striped and then getting them over to the outfitter. And I would tell you that that's a good business to be in because there's a limited number of those folks out there, and so it takes time to get a vehicle outfitted with the computer mounts and the gun mounts and the light bars and all those things. So it's a slow rate, but ultimately we at least have all those vehicles. And Chief informed me as I was building these slides that his fire hose replacement came in on Friday. So good. They must have known we were doing a slide deck. So I'm glad that they got that done. And then you can see some of the other projects that are either projects or vehicles that are procured for the various folks, and everything else that's in amber is just stuff that's on order they're waiting for. Next slide. What I want to highlight here is our FY26 budget calendar. So we're already in kind of the staff portion that you can see there. We're in August right now. And then what you're going to see is I'm going to be submitting a budget proposal to Mayor and Council on Thursday the 18th, and then we'll have a study session scheduled on Monday the 29th, so you got some time in between receiving the budget and actually talking about it in study session. That's on Monday night. In past, we have not needed 2 nights to go through the study session, but we have a second night available if needed. We'll have a public hearing notice, we'll have budget hearings, and then the ordinance reading should begin at the end of October and be finished in November with the action of the budget in November. And as you recall, last year, we slowed that entire timeline significantly to the right based on Hurricane Helene. As long as the budget's passed by December, we're in good shape. And so I think this budget calendar gives us a little bit of flexibility if needed, but I think this is a workable timeline and more indicative of previous years or previous Helene years for the budget. Next slide. So under ARPA expenditures, there were 13 council resolutions. And just to remind our citizens, I know you all as council are well aware of this, all the funds had to be obligated or on contract by the end of 2024, and we met that suspense. And so that doesn't mean you have all the goods and services in hand, and it doesn't mean that the project is complete. It just means that you have a contract or a purchase order or something that you can show to the Treasury Department that says the money was obligated. and then it has to be completed or delivered by the end of 26. And I'll go through some of those major projects here in a moment. Next slide. So just proportionally, and again, you can tell a lot of different stories with numbers. And so this was the baseline $11.8 million ARPA money that the city put into the various commodity areas. Now, what I would tell you is because we were able to partner with the Rural Infrastructure Authority and get a pretty significant $7.5-ish million grant from the RIA, that wastewater 16% would actually, if you included all ARPA funds, would jump up to over half that pie for infrastructure. But the way I have it displayed here is strictly the city's ARPA funding, the $11.8 million, not the additional ARPA funding from RIA. So again, if you added the RIA ARPA money, infrastructure would account for more in the 70% range of the overall ARPA expenditures. Next slide. So these are all complete. These are roughly the same as we had last year. And we'll go to the next slide. And so these are the ones that are ongoing. So we're watching these with laser-like focus because we've got to make sure that all of these projects are completed and closed out by the end of 26. And some of them are more high risk than others, but I think all of them will be done. So the first is the Southwest Interceptor Pipeline Rehab Project, and that is the gift that keeps on giving in a good way. And so because we had bid pricing that came in significantly under market, and we had, I think, 8 or 9 different bidders that gave us really good pricing, that allowed us to go back to the RIA and request 2 separate change orders and amendments to the original project. And the rules that we got from RIA at the time was we could use the unaccessed monies only for projects that were associated with our original request, which is wastewater. So I could not use those funds against water projects or stormwater projects. They can only be used against wastewater projects. And luckily, James had a lot of those already queued up. So one is the Carolina Springs lift station, and that was bid out, and we should have that lift station in hand by the spring. And I believe we're going to do that with city personnel as far as the installation, but the long lead item is going to be the equipment itself. And last is the 8-inch slip lining project. That's one I briefed to the city council that gets after some of the Crestland and Lyndhurst subdivisions and allows us to get into the next kind of size pipe down from the interceptor pipes. But the goal is the same. We have to get through, and to meet RIA's timeline, we have to finish that project by June of 26. So that's what we're doing right now. So those are 3, consider those almost 3 separate projects under the same kind of heading. So the first part of that, the interceptor pipeline, we believe will be done in the December-January timeframe, which again gives us plenty of time. The 8-inch slip lining project is a different contractor than the one doing the interceptor pipe, and they anticipate starting in September. And again, I think very easy to hit those timelines to get that done. The one that we're going to be watching the most is the Carolina Springs lift station based on the timing of the delivery of materials, which isn't scheduled until, I believe, March of next year. Next is the Clay Street Booster Pump Station. The picture on the right there is the team working to put that together, and you can see the new building that's already on a concrete pad along with the 3 pumps internal. And so that's a major project for us, and we're really, much like the amphitheater project, put a lot of different funding sources together to make that happen, but city ARPA money is certainly part of that. And so ultimately, we want to make sure that's completed. We had hoped for a July completion date. The contractor ran into some snags, both with personnel and with critical path equipment, but I believe that will be finished out here in the fall, and I don't have any concerns about that bleeding into the next calendar year. I believe that'll be finished here no later in 2025. The State Improvement Fund also is an easy one because the City Council set aside $200,000 a year for 3 years for a total of $600,000 for the Stadium Improvement Fund. The city is obligated to put $200,000 a year into the Stadium Improvement Fund. Design is to be out of the Riverfront Central Core. We bought ourselves some more time with ARPA to do that, but this is the final year in 2025 for us to be able to do Stadium Improvement Fund. So when we go into 26, that will be funded through the Riverfront Central Core and will be that way from here on out. And lastly, our finance and ERP software, we're in the throes of that now, obviously, but again, I have no concerns about finishing that out either this year or next year, meeting that time. And what I did not put on the slide, which I pulled off the other slide, is we have one last major piece of apparatus, which is on order and been paid for, but not received yet, which is a replacement tanker truck for the 1998 tanker truck that's within public safety. Chief assures me that will be here in the spring of 26, based on what he's gotten from his vendor contacts. I'm not sure if he's going to swear to that on the Bible, but certainly that we're feeling confident by 26 we'll have our second fire truck. The first from ARPA was the air and light truck, which was delivered and we had the push-in ceremony for at Fire Station 1. Next slide. And with that, I am prepared for any of your questions.
I think it's a good synopsis and rundown. I think for our citizens, you always break it down very, very, I think, simple terms, but people can understand and digest it. And I would tell you, I mean, you look at the ARPA piece, well over 50% all in the infrastructure. So somebody said we don't put money in infrastructure, they just need to look at these numbers. So anyway, good job. Thank you, sir.
Last but not least, let's go to our utility billing. Next slide, please. So just as a reminder, last shut-off was December of last year. Last late fee collector was February 6th of 2025. Next slide. So for ongoing, again, there are no late fees or shut-offs until further notice. And I will certainly brief the council before we put a plan out to the citizens about how we're going to re-implement shut-offs and late fees. And again, we'll continue to work through and strip out personnel from other departments as they're needed to help out with the counter, and we've had some success with that. Give us some better density down there. And then I'm personally involved. We have a number of meetings we have with our primary vendor. I had a meeting last week on Friday with the entire project team to include city personnel and senior leadership from GovSense. Had a productive meeting, laid out milestones and deliverables. GovSense agreed to all the, came to terms with what we all agreed is the technical fixes that still need to occur. And we're still moving forward on that plan, and we'll continue to implement as best we can. Next slide. So the good news is that for the very first time this month, the August 10th bills went out on time. So August 10th was a Sunday, and those bills went out on Friday the 8th, which was the normal cycle for those bills to go out. And so that was a good news story for us. We're also anticipating August 25th bills should go out on time, and then be, the same cycle from here on out through September, October, November, so that our citizens aren't getting bills in a 2-week separation. They're getting them in a 4-week separation, as is the current practice of the city. Next slide. So as you see here on the calendar, again, it compressed some of it, but you've got the July 25th bills went out a little bit late. We're getting closer to the mark. We didn't quite meet it with the July bills, but we definitely hit August right on the nose, and our next billing cycle is scheduled to go out 2 weeks from today. Next slide. I'll pause for any questions from council.
Yes, Mr. Clifford, can you comment on how many people are current on their utility bills, or are we expecting a lot that are behind?
I expect there'll be several that are behind. I've asked the finance department to collate this after we get through the full August cycle. But what I've asked for from the department is a list of all personnel, citizens that have not paid since February. Because my understanding is that we at least have some citizens that as soon as we suspended cutoffs and late fees, opted not to pay their bills all the way through today. So I don't know if that's 5 people or 30 people, but I need to get that number and be able to tell you definitively what we're looking at, especially as we look at re-implementing shut-off and late fee plans.
I may know the answer to this question, but for someone that would have a past due bill, then that would move from that address, so they're no longer at that address, they would have an outstanding bill in their name, and they couldn't get into another billing situation until the past bill was paid.
That would be my hope.
That would be the intent. I would be curious as to what level that is.
Me too.
Yeah. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, if there's any questions from you or the council members, that's the staff update for the study session for this evening, and I turn it back to you.
Okay, very good. All right, I'm going to kind of end us tonight, but hopefully we're going to end on a positive note. I want to take a few minutes and respond to our public powwow last Monday. We had a full house, and we don't need to show those pictures yet. We had a full house, and I want to appreciate our citizens coming out. And this really was about us listening. And I thanked each of the speakers last week. But again, I want to reiterate, because I think it's important. You know, Linda, I've known Linda since I've been in North Augusta. Her daughter, Wendy, and my wife literally are great friends. Her grandkids, my kids grew up together. Her husband, Don, actually was our House representative. Bill Hickson took his place when he didn't want to run again. They're just incredible Christians, just amazing people. Very passionate, but she's smart, very mature in how she handles things. And I do appreciate her. Tabitha was another one who just comes across very smart, as far as objective, mature, and how she looks at things. And I really appreciate her presentation. I don't think there's anybody here that doesn't think that Tyler, his heart for animals, and I think that what he's done in his role since he's been in North Augusta is phenomenal. And so all three of them did an incredible job. And I will tell you that all three of them caused all of us on this council to do a lot of reflecting from the meeting over the past week. And I want to share some thoughts on the clear up some misinformation, which I believe will be very helpful to citizens. And of course, I don't have any here tonight. But anyway, one of the points that was brought up by each of the speakers in some form or fashion had to do with how can we make some easy wins, some decisions about improving the shelter. After discussion with our administration and council feedback, we're going to do 4 things immediately. 2 of the items came because we were listening last week, and 2 actually are small items where they came from the 2019 assessment plan. 1, we will allow volunteers to be at the shelter to give the dogs a chance to be outside the kennel at times when Officer McBride can't be there. Our administration, public safety, they're going to work out the details of what that looks like. But we should allow volunteers to be there in certain times and situations we don't have Officer McBride. It's the right thing to do for the dogs, and we're going to do that. 2, we will begin posting pictures of dogs in the kennel on our public safety Facebook page to help with getting the word out to folks about adoption. Again, it's something we should have always been doing. It's the right thing to do. Tyler recommended that we speak to Edgefield County about opportunities to collaborate with them. Actually, our administration has actually been talking to Edgefield County several weeks ago. We've also had conversation with Aiken County. All of those types of discussions will be addressed at our study session on September the 9th. So we are talking and trying to do a lot of things in preparation. In the 2019 assessment, it recommended that we track or record return to owner / strays separately from the return to owner / enforcement. That's something simple. And we're going to start doing that. Also in the assessment, they recommended we report shelter statistics at shelteranimalscount.org. We actually do track all of the required data on the report each month. That's including the city's monthly reporting from each department, and that's posted on our website. But it's often posted a month or 2 late. So this will at least get that information out there faster. Now, I'm fully aware to some will appear like we haven't done enough and that the last 2 items are trivial. But as far as for me, and I believe this council, it shows that we are trying to do better. I know one item Tyler asked for was a voluntary committee or working coalition. We're still trying to figure that one out. I cannot say if that's something we'll do or not. It sounds simple and easy to do, but getting the right mix of citizens on it, as well as some idea of what the actual goal of the group is, how it should be run, all of that reporting. Kevin Toole has given me some great possible template that we can use, some really good thoughts. So it's just going to take a little bit more time. It's just not something we're going to do in a week. But again, we have had that discussion, and we are not ruling that out. I reiterated last Monday that we'd be having a study session. I heard from citizens when I left here Monday and on email that their concerns, we're just kicking the can down the street. That past study sessions never accomplished anything. I think Tyler called it Groundhog's Day. I cannot control the past, and all our concern right now is what can we do now. So the study session on September the 9th will be focused on this issue. We're not going to kick the can anymore. We're going to decide what we're going to do. Do we do nothing? Do we improve the current shelter? Do we partner with other shelters or organizations? Do we build our own shelter? I want to be clear. We're not going to literally make a decision that night, but because it may take more information, more from that council discussion. But the point, what citizens need to understand is we are going to decide. Okay, we have made a commitment. We are going to decide what we're going to do with that shelter from the information discussion that has been given to us. When we talk about on September 9th, we're going to do it sooner than later. Now, there's not one person, now you can put the pictures up, there's not one person on this council who thinks the state of this shelter, as shown by the pictures last Monday, is okay. Let's show those, show the next one. Okay, show the next one. Show the next one. Okay, go back. Go back. Go back. Go back. Okay, go back one more. One more. Okay. Now, Officer McBride has done a wonderful job. Originally, this shelter was built to hold dogs for a short period of time until they could be adopted. It was and has always been bare bones because it never was, nor is it a true shelter like other counties have around us or what a lot of people want. It's always been a short-term holding facility, and quite frankly, not a lot of money has been put into it, evidently. We all agree on that. Some pictures were presented last Monday that I'm showing up again now. These are terrible. They're embarrassing. They're deplorable. I went out the next day to see for myself. Other council members went out to see also. What we saw made us all very relieved. And I want to show those. So keep going. Keep going. Okay. All right. That's what a kennel looks like now. It didn't look anything like that other one. Do the next one. Okay. That's what the floor looks like now. Doesn't look like anything what you saw before. Do the next one. Okay. That's the floor coming in the entrance. Okay. So I want to relieve the citizens. I want the folks who were at the meeting Monday night to know those conditions are not like that anymore. We actually put money in the budget last year for this floor project. On March 18, 2025, the flooring project was completed. However, here's what happened. Over the next few months, what started happening was the top layer of paint that was put down started peeling. We notified the contractor, and he was able, on July the 26th, to repair half of it. I think Dennis has shared that. Half of that on July 26th. The other half was done on August the 1st. And after discussion, it looked like it's not necessary to repaint since the primer and sealant remain and it's proven to be more durable. So this is what it looks like now. I let Linda Smith, I let Tabitha Waldrop, who had already gone out there herself to see, and I let some other folks I ran to who were in attendance, that those conditions were not accurate at the time they were shown. So I hope everybody, just like we are, that you've seen these pictures, are relieved. Elizabeth's not here, but I'm going to ask her and reach out to Post and Courier. I hope they will include these new pictures and explain that the conditions last Monday were not accurate at that time. Listen, we own what it did look like, but I'm not okay with people believing it still looks that way because it doesn't. They have been fixed, which is at the end of the day, what we want is what's the most important thing now, and we got it looking better. Now, I will end this by saying we all know, bottom line, we absolutely need to do better. We're trying. And hopefully citizens are seeing some positive steps. Although to some, they may look and say, oh, those are small steps. Here's all I know. They may be small steps, but they're positive steps forward and positive steps that haven't been done in the past. So I just want you to think your council members, whether it's Dennis or David or Kevin, me, Pat, Robert, John, these guys and gals care, okay? And we are listening, okay? We got a long way to go, but we're making some steps. So I just want the citizens to know that, yeah, you saw some pretty deplorable things. We're pretty upset about it, but the conditions are not like that anymore. And hopefully as we move through the next couple months and we get into the study session, we'll figure out what our long-term plan is going to be. So with that, we stand adjourned.